Hi, I'm Rob Kutu. I'm the Director of Menu Development for Sage Dining Services. Happy holidays, everybody. Today, we're going to be making an orange, cranberry, and white chocolate biscotti. This is something that is on my holiday menu every year. It's very easy to make. You can get the kids involved with this. It doesn't take a lot of equipment to make. Very, very simple. This is all we're going to use. A spatula, a bowl, and a cookie sheet. So let's get right into it. And again, very, very simple. I get everything measured out here. First is we're going to put in just 2 cups of dry cranberries. Very simple. And we're going to do an orange cranberry, but I mean, making a biscotti, once you understand how to make a biscotti, you can change out the ingredients, you can change out the flavorings, whatever you want. It's very, very simple to make. So I got 3 tablespoons of fresh squeezed orange juice. And in addition to the orange juice, I also have the zest of that orange. So I zested an orange first, then I took it and I took 3 tablespoons of the juice out. So this is going to go right into the bowl as well. Next, I have 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Again, I'm using granulated. You want to change the flavor up a little bit. You can use brown sugar. You can use dark brown. For this application, I want it a little lighter, so we're just using simple granulated sugar. So that's going to go in. Okay, next, 2 room temperature eggs. It's very important that you use room temperature for 2 reasons. It's going to help the rise and it's going to help the puff when it's in the oven. If you have to wait for the eggs to come up to temp to create that steaming effect, then it's going to take longer, than the outside of the biscotti is going to get crispier faster before you get that nice rise that we're looking for. If for some reason you forget to take the eggs out at room temp, you can take the whole eggs, put them into a bowl of warm water for 15, 20 minutes, not boiling, some warm tap water, and just let them come up to temp that way, and you're going to have perfect room temperature eggs. So that's going to go right into the bowl. And see, so far, nothing really fancy, no equipment to use. You can have your kids help you with this. Biscottis are great because they last. You can make a lot of them at once with a very little bit of motion, and you can make a bunch of them, and then they hold for a couple of days and or weeks if you keep them in a nice jar. So next, I've already got it melted. I've got 1 stick of butter, okay? Melted, I melted it ahead of time, then I want to cool it. You don't want this to be boiling hot going in because we don't want to start cooking the eggs and start getting little bits of scrambled egg into here. So we're going to go into the bowl with this. And don't forget, use a rubber spatula because you will lose a lot of the butter if you leave it in the pan. So you really want to scrape that all out. So see, I got my pan pretty dried out now. Got it all into the bowl. Now, all we're doing is we're just going to mix this around. So see, we're just mixing this all around just to get it all incorporated so that it's all one mass. We want to break up the sugar, the granulated, the zested orange, and any clumps of the cranberries that are in it. I mean, if you want to use cherries, you can use dried cherries. You want to do dried blueberries. If you can have nuts, you can put nuts in here. It's up to you. Whatever you want to put. Even if you want to make a chocolate one, it's very simple. You just back out some of the flour, usually about 5% of the flour, and replace it with cocoa powder. You can also add chocolate chips. I mean, whatever you want to do, this is a very, very simple process to do. So now that we have everything mixed, and this is what it looks like, okay, you can see, very simple. Everything's mixed together, all combined. We're going to go in, and I'm going to sift my flour because I don't want to get any lumps. I don't want to have any dense spots or any pieces of flour that aren't mixed in. So I'm going to put 2.5 cups of flour in here. All right. Into this, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay, get that all in. And now I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And this is regular iodized table salt. You don't want to use kosher for this. The kosher is too big. You want to get a little bit more salted flavor. So a smaller amount of the iodized is going to give that flavor that we need to balance the sweet. So it's not too sweet, it's not too acidic. You get a nice balance. Okay. So now that we get everything in, we're just going to sift this in. And see, this is very simple. It's going to go in very quick. And you see how towards the end, you can start seeing some of the little pieces of the flour that weren't broken up. Just put it through, okay? So now everything's in the bowl, and we're just going to mix this around. And this is going to come together fairly quick. And again, you don't have to go nuts. You don't have to worry about folding like some desserts where we incorporate air. This is the biscotti. You don't have to worry about it. The only thing is we don't want to work this so long that we work up a lot of the gluten into it. Then we would have to let it rest, and then it's not going to perform as well in the oven. So we're just really mixing this until it starts to stick, and it comes clean off the bowl. All right, and you can see, and this is great. You can have your kids help you with this. This is just a really fun holiday treat to make. The flavors and the smells are going to bring people out of the woodwork, and everybody's going to want to know what's going on in the kitchen that day. Okay? And if you're going to do a cookie swap, this is one of those things where you come home during the week and you want to make them, you can make them ahead of time, or if it's a last minute thing, you can put these together really quick. Okay, and you can see, I'm just starting to work it now, and it's just starting to pull together. There's a little bit of flour left and a little bit of that dry mix, but we're just going to mix it around, and I'm smashing it to the bowl to expose some of the wet center. All right? So you can see how, it's all together now. See how it's really just, all of a sudden you start mixing it, it's going to come together in one dough ball. It's not really sticking. So, see that? Very simple. So what I have here is just a little extra flour, and I'm not putting a lot. I mean, barely a half teaspoon on the table. And I want to take the dough, and I want to roll it out onto the table. Okay? And I'm just going to bring it together, squeeze any bit of last flour that didn't come to it. So now I'm just evening it out. And again, you don't even need a knife to do this. We're going to take it, and I'm just going to divide it in half, right down the middle. And this doesn't have to be precise. Okay? So what I've got here is just a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper. No spray, nothing, just parchment so it won't stick to the sheet tray. Okay? I'm going to take the first log, and I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit, bring it together, and I'm just going to roll it out. And you want to get a log that's about 12 inches long, okay? And you can see this is very simple to do. This is great if you want to have your kids roll this out. This is just a fun afternoon activity, especially if you have your young ones with you. So see how I got about a 12-inch long log? I'm just going to put it on my cookie sheet, all right? And I'm going to take the other one. We're going to do the same thing. And again, this will make about 2 dozen biscotti. If you want to do more, you can double it. If you want to do less, I don't know why you want to do less, but you could. Who's not going to like these? So again, see how quick and easy this is? Very simple. We got a 12-inch long. Okay, I'm going to put it on a baking sheet. So now that we have it on the sheet, see how with the logs? I'm just going to go down and I'm going to press it down a little bit. Okay? Because we're going to take that dome off the log, because when these cook, they're going to expand a little bit, but I still want to keep it relatively thick so we have a nice good bite and something to grab onto. So now that we have them in, we're going to put them into a 350-degree oven if it's a conventional oven without a fan for your home oven. If you have a convection oven, I would do 300 degrees, so that way these things have time to bake and spread out on the pan. So we're going to put them in the oven now, 20, 25 minutes. There's really no wrong answer. Biscotti are very, very forgiving to make. If you leave them in the oven too long, we're going to do the second cut. Biscotti means twice baked or twice cooked. We're going to cut them and we're going to bake them again to dry them out. If you leave them too long, you bake them less the second time. You don't leave them in enough the first time, you bake them longer the second time. This is a very easy process. So now we're going to go right into the oven. So it's been about 20, 25 minutes. I'm going to take my biscotti logs out, and this is what they're going to look like. All right. So this style that I like, they don't puddle out, you don't get a nice flat one. I like it to be a little thicker, a little cakier. It's going to have a nice little crunch, better mouthfeel to it. This is the kind of recipe that I like. So we're going to let them cool for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to start cutting. We're going to do that second baking of them. So they've sit for about 10 minutes now. So now we're going to cut them to the desired shape. And again, this is really up to you. You can go straight across this way. You're going to get a nice little domed piece that's short. We can go on an angle, longer ones, shorter ones, whatever size you want to do. Again, you can customize this. Once you understand how a biscotti works and the pieces that go into it, you can customize this however you want. So I'm going to go on an extreme bias. So I'm going to turn the knife on an angle like this, and I'm using a serrated knife. This is an offset serrated just because I want my knuckles to bang on the cutting board. And we're going to saw through this. Okay? And you don't want to go too thin because then it is going to try to fall apart. So see, if I go a little thin, it wants to fall apart there. So I'm going to go a hair thicker. And I'm just going to saw through and let the knife go through. You don't want to bludgeon this with a chef's knife or a non-serrated. Okay? See, you will lose some. You can eat them just like this. They're fantastic, right? So this is the ones that we've done a little bit. You can see they're soft and they're cakey in the middle. All right. So once I have these cut, I'm going to put them back on the sheet tray. And we're going to put them back in the oven. We're going to do a second bake. And this time, we're just looking to dry them out. And the second bake is only 8 to 10 minutes. They will be crispy after. While you're cooking these, they're going to be soft at the beginning. And once you feel them, they will crisp up as they start to cool. Then after about a day, day and a half, they'll be even crunchier. These will last you for about 2 weeks on the counter in a jar covered. Again, you can make this ahead of time for the holidays, and you can so you can do other things. I mean, it's a great make-ahead item. Or if it's a last-minute thing, like I said, if you're doing a cookie swap, you can really play with these and just go to town making whatever style that you want. So now we're going to put them back in the oven. They're soft. We want to get that signature biscotti crunch, that crispness. So we're going to put them back in the oven for the second baking now. Now we're going to do it about 8 to 10. Could be a little longer. Again, like we discussed earlier, it depends on if you did a little under the first bake. You're going to put them in a little longer for the second bake. If you did them a little more the first bake, you're going to put a little less for the second bake. Basically, general rule of thumb, if they're golden brown, they're delicious, they're done. That's how this works. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I've got some coating chocolate, some white coating chocolate. And again, there's no hard and fast rule for this. If you like white chocolate, do white chocolate. I like white chocolate with this combination. You want to do milk, you want to do dark chocolate, whatever you want. You can customize these and mix and match. This is just some white chocolate coating chips you can buy at any supermarket. Okay? So for this, I got a rubber spatula that I'm going to have. I got a pair of scissors, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that we're going to decorate these. So first thing is, I'm going to take my white chocolate, and I've got a pot of boiling water at a low, low simmer. I'm just going to put this on here for a couple of minutes, and we're just going to let that sit there. Okay? And I'll get back to that in a minute. So if you have a small bag, this will work. I had this on hand. We're going to make a little impromptu piping bag where we're just going to kind of drizzle the chocolate on. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways, some traditional ways. The traditional way is to dip the bottom straight and flat, or we're going to do it on an angle, or you can fill the bag with chocolate and let the kids go nuts, piping chocolate everywhere. This is fun, and they will have a blast, and this is stuff they'll remember. All right? So I'm basically just going to take the bag, I got my hand inside it, pushing it into the glass. Now I have a clean work surface. All right? So we're going to set that aside for now. And let me check my chocolate. So it's been about 2 minutes, and now the one thing I want to stress, I took the pan off the heat. The residual heat's going to really carry this over. When you do this, you do not want the bottom of your bowl touching the hot water, okay? Chocolate is very delicate to work with, and we don't want to scorch it. If you get it too hot, it's going to start seizing up. It's not going to be very fluid. It's not going to be creamy. It's going to be just tough to work with. So I'm going to really stop it right there, okay? Put that aside. So this is what we're looking for. It's completely smoothed out now. See how that's going to really coat really well? So this is where the fun is going to begin. So let me put this aside. So we have some biscotti that we've cut and we put back in the oven already. As I said, I put them back into the oven at 300 degrees if you have a convection oven, 350 if it's a regular conventional oven. And again, there's no hard and fast rule for this. Just whatever you like. I like them a little crispier. If you want them a little softer. They will crisp up. They're going to seem soft up front, but they will crisp up as they cool. Then within a day or two, they're actually going to be even crispier after they've sat. So there's a couple of ways, there's a couple of different schools of thought, whatever you want to do for this. So the easiest one is you can take it and you can just dip it on an angle like this, give it a little wiggle. And this is the one that's going to give the most chocolate, which isn't a bad thing. So then we're just going to put it on like that. And again, we can go in, on an angle. Just make sure the back and the front are covered with it. See? And I'm just letting the excess drain off so we don't have a pooling effect on the bottom, pulling it on the bowl, and this is what it looks like. And these are very simple, and again, this is something that the kids can do. You can have fun with them doing it. And see how the chocolate's running off? We don't want all that extra pooling. We want to have a nice, clean-looking biscotti. And I'm just going to drag that extra on the side of the bowl. And this is what we're going to have. Okay? So that's one style of doing it. Another way to do it is we can take it, and this is a little bit more traditional one. This is something that you'll see in bakeries that you go to. We can take the biscotti, and instead of going in on an angle, we're just going to go in flat, and I'm just going to coat the bottom of this. So see? So this is more of the traditional ones that you see, especially if you cut it nice and thick, then you have the bottom that's got a nice coating of chocolate like that. I'm going to put it back on the tray to dry. So take another one. Again, we're going to dip the bottom in, give it a nice wiggle to make sure we get a nice even coating on both sides, and we're just letting that excess chocolate run off. Okay, get a little extra, pull it off. So right back in. So that's that. So now let's do the one with the drizzle. This is the one you want to get the kids involved with. This is fun. So again, we have this rubber spatula that I had. There's the glass that we had earlier that we put that pastry bag in. We're just going to make a quick little piping bag. I'm just going to put a little bit. You don't need a lot of chocolate in this because a little bit of this goes a long way, and it's just a lot easier to work with. So I'm going to lift the bag up, and here's the corner. I'm going to twist it like this just to give it a little pressure. See? And if you have a smaller bag, this is what I had on hand. So, see, we just got a tiny little piping bag. All right? So, I'm going to just take a pair of kitchen shears. I'm going to trim the end off very gently. Okay. See? Now we got it running. And this is where you can get the kids involved. Just drizzle it on. One way. If you want to go one way. If you want to go opposite directions. This is just fun stuff. I mean, go nuts. Let them have a ball. Put as much or as little as you want. If they're like my kids, they're going to want to shoot the chocolate in their mouth. So what? Let them have fun. It's the holidays. It's all about having fun and creating memories. Okay? So you want to give these about 10, 15 minutes. The chocolate's going to set up. Once it sets up, you can stick them in a jar, stick them in an airtight container. You can eat them all right then and there and make them again. It's completely up to you. But again, cranberry, orange, white chocolate biscotti.